So, I have often been asked, how did you become a writer, or what inspires you, things like that. These are questions that writers are often asked. So let me start by saying that I started writing as a little girl, mostly to please my mother, who was a reader, and who used to read to me, and she eventually became a librarian, and so I would write little stories and I would illustrate them, and my father was at the time an illustrator, so I had that kind of dual, the reader and the visual people in the household. And I kept working at it until I was in college. And when I was in college, I had a roommate who said to me, you know what you should do? You should find a living writer who you admire and go and work with them. Well, at the time, I admired Ursula K. Le Guin, who is a science fiction writer of some repute. I wrote to her, and I was very surprised to get a personal letter from her inviting me to participate, or actually to apply for a workshop. And then from there, I decided it was what I wanted to do with my life. So I worked with her. I also worked with a writer named Vonda McIntyre, and I also worked with a writer named Michael Cunningham as student. And I published my first novel when I was 22. And I've been writing ever since. So it's a long-term investment. Now, the other question people ask me, because as you can see, I'm sitting in my office. I'm the associate chair of the English department at the University of Florida now. So obviously I did something else than write fiction. When I was 24 and about to publish my second novel, I realized something that people who are into industry will tell you. If you don't write a book a year and you can't make yourself a brand, and the obvious name that comes to everybody's lips these days is Stephen King, or say the mystery writer Sue Grafton, who writes, the alphabet series for mystery writers, or it's her detective series. A is for Alibi. She writes one every year and has been for the last 26 years. If you can't make yourself that kind of a brand, it's very difficult to make a living, a decent living. And so either you have to do some other kind of day job, like wait tables, which I really didn't want to do, or my choice was to become a professor, because it's one of the few jobs I know where you have to write as part of the job, unless you're a journalist, and a lawyer. I know writers who are journalists.